January 2017. Reports that Russian forces have entered the Baltics. Vladimir Putin is using military muscle to test America's new president. US Marines are sent to counter the threat on behalf of NATO and are drawn into heavy skirmishing. Yeah, hit. This is an exercise. But with relations between Russia and the West going from bad to worse, there's a new sense of urgency and a fear of this happening for real.
This year we more openly speak about who is the threat and how we have to react on this threat.
And what specifically is the threat, do you think?
The threat is so much this our military forces near the eastern border from Russian side. These activities and escalation, this location of a huge number of soldiers near this east borders.
US paratroopers prepare to drop 150 miles from the Russian border in the skies over Latvia. While they drill with allies, rhetoric in their presidential election back home raises doubts about NATO that hang over its more vulnerable members as tensions with Russia continue to build.
We always train with a sense of urgency. So we always look to the future, and the future's unknown, right? The future's unwritten. And so when we train, we make it as tough and as realistic as we can every time.
Russia and its leader haunt the Baltics. Countries like Latvia still trying to emerge from decades of Soviet domination. The last Cold War cast long shadows here still, and now a second one looms large. Former Foreign Minister Sandra Kalniete signed Latvia up to both NATO and EU membership. She says the world needs to wake up to the threat posed by Russia.
I think it is very dangerous because it is unpredictable. As a president, Putin is unpredictable. He is not guided by pragmatic political analysis.
How worried should we be by Russia, do you think?
I would say that we have to be very alerted, that we have to be vigilant and we have to be smart and resilient.
And if we're not, what happens then?
God knows what happens then.
Russia's new posturing beyond its borders and fears of a second Cold War aren't the only challenges for America's new president. China's expanding its military and territory. North Korea aggressively pursuing nuclear weapons. From Libya to Yemen, the Middle East is in flames. Revolutions descending into savage civil wars. Huge numbers are on the move, desperate to escape chaos and violence at home. If Hillary Clinton wins the presidency, that's the world she inherits from Barack Obama. But from what she's saying on the campaign trail, she's not planning any major shifts in foreign policy.
People around the world follow our presidential campaigns so closely, trying to get hints about what we will do. Can they rely on us?
Will the Americans again lead the world? That's what is at stake.
The man who led the West's most powerful alliance through most of the Obama presidency says his successor will need to be different.
I think President Obama has been too reluctant to use military force or threaten to use military force to prevent conflicts in the world. So after this period of reluctance, we need more American interventionism. Actually, we need America as the world's policeman. We need determined American global leadership.
Is it not possible, though, for a superpower simply to retire and give up on being a superpower?
No, superpowers don't get to retire.
But in this election, millions of Americans have shown their support for a candidate who wants the US to withdraw more and intervene less, and who's questioned its ties with old allies. In a year of global turmoil, some of the architecture of our post-war world order has already begun to crumble. The rhetoric in America's election hasn't helped. This is the House of Commons library that provides MPs with independent research and where records of all the nation's treaties are kept. I've come to find Parliament's copy of the North Atlantic Treaty, signed in 1949. For almost 7 decades, the agreement recorded in these pages has helped guarantee our peace and security. The key part of the treaty is Article 5. The parties agree that an armed attack against one or more of them in Europe or North America shall be considered an attack against them all. It's a principle of all for one and one for all. Donald Trump threw that principle into doubt, threatening to withdraw America's automatic support for its allies.
We have spent trillions of dollars over time on planes, missiles, ships, equipment, building up our military to provide a strong defense for Europe and Asia. The countries we are defending must pay for the cost of this defense. And if not, the U.S. must be prepared to let these countries defend themselves.
It could be that he puts a nail into the coffin of the transatlantic alliance. That is possible.
Sir Christopher Mayor was the UK's man in Washington in the Bush years, at the height of the war on terror. The Republican nominee, he says, has undermined NATO.
He has already suggested that Article 5 of the NATO treaty, the one that says that if a member state is attacked, then all the other members of the alliance are duty-bound to come to the assistance of that state. He has already said if that state, in his view, is not paying its dues into the NATO budget, then Article 5 will be suspended. That is truly a nail in the coffin of the post-Second World War international order.
Whoever wins this election has lasting damage already been done by this campaign to the way America is seen around the world and to the way it projects its power. And has that already undermined global stability?
It says, to my mind, that America's politics has gone very, very wrong.
Veteran observers of American politics, looking on in horror, are in little doubt.
I don't think we've ever seen a candidate emerging of this kind in the United States, actually really ever, certainly since it's been a great power. And I think we are right to be worried about the potential implications of this transformation of the basis of American democracy.
In Washington, the ghosts of the country's great past are looking down on this election, while Americans wonder if they'll ever see their like again.
We appreciate greatness in many other aspects of the American enterprise. On the athletic field, in Hollywood, on Broadway, Pulitzer Prize winners, Nobel laureates, Bob Dylan. We have a hard time appreciating greatness in our political culture. The reason is simple. We don't see it anymore.
Americans have always believed that their form of government is exceptional. Abraham Lincoln thought it was worth fighting a civil war for. They believe that their kind of democracy isn't just the best way of running their own country, but should be an example for others to follow, an inspiration to the world. This election has been anything but. And ultimately, that may be the biggest challenge for whoever is sworn in here on Capitol Hill as the 45th president. Can they restore America's belief in itself and the world's faith in America?